Hey, everybody, algoritors. Issy Stone, welcome back. Protecting my peace, 44. Welcome back. Hello from the DMV. You know I'm in the DMV. Who else we got on here? Brenda O, good evening. Good evening. Coletta Davis, good evening. Hello, everyone. Danielle Cameron, thank you. I'm glad you made it. Guess what, everybody? Max Law, thank you. Welcome. Come on in. Khalib Roseboro. Oh, what an interesting name. From New Jersey. Welcome, Jersey. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. All right, everybody. Welcome to Celebrity Court. Tonight's Tuesday edition. We're talking settlements, shade, and sentencing. When the spotlight becomes a searchlight, is what we're going to call tonight's episode. And we're going to step into the gray zone where NDAs replace juries, Instagram lives replace affidavits, and billion-dollar brands start to pray their scandal trends quietly. Yep, this isn't like the last athletic special. This is the accountability special. From a Hall of Famer's hush hush settlement to a rapper doing life on Rico, we're slicing through PR polish to expose the raw legal underbelly. No fanboys. We definitely don't show favoritism, well, except for Shaitan when a man is sexy. But we are only focusing on facts, filings, and fallout from public disgrace. Helping me prosecute the truth tonight are my two legal beagles. First up, we have the fiery civil attorney, Shaitan Turner, and joining her is humorist at law, Sean Carter. Counselors, how are we feeling tonight?
Oh, Your Honor, we are feeling good.
All
I
right,
don't know about you, but I took my own wife to the Coldplay concert, so that was nice. I don't know if it's allowed, but I did it.
you did it. Now you getting in front of the story. All right, I see you, counselor. All right, everybody. I got my cup with a little bit of tequila and a little bit of orange juice. So if you want to join in, be sure to grab your grab your cup, and grab a drink. SL, welcome back. Doreen Pierce, welcome back. Melina NC, welcome back. Shakita Jackson, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to our show tonight. All right, these two lawyers right here, they're going to bring the precedent. I'm going to bring the provocation, and we're going to ask that you, the viewers, bring the verdict. Be sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to share this stream like it's breaking news, because guess what? It is. And flood that chat with your rulings as well as your thoughts. And tonight we're going to create a hashtag. Be sure to hashtag gavel or put the gavel emoji in the chat. Now listen, tonight no gossip is allowed, only receipts, and we're dissecting four explosive cases. First, we have a $50 million sexual assault suit that vanished overnight. We have a rap queen calling out an alleged industry underbelly, and we have a corporate kiss cam meltdown, as well as a rapper sentenced to life under Rico. So we're asking, when is a settlement justice? When is a rant a lawsuit waiting to happen? When is a kiss a career killer? And when does hip hop cross into human trafficking? All right, everybody, court is now in session. All right, first up, Shannon Sharpe. That once $50 million sexual assault lawsuit has now all of a sudden been silenced. Hall of Fame tight end and TV powerhouse Shannon Sharpe just walked away from a $50 million sexual assault lawsuit filed by a 20-year-old Gabriella without ever walking into a courtroom. Filed in Nevada, the suit alleged sexual assault, emotional abuse, and secret recordings. But guess what? On July 18, 2025, the case was resolved and dismissed with prejudice. Translation, it's dead forever. We're going to go to our legal beagles to explain to us what dismissed with prejudice mean. Now, Gabriella, the 20-year-old, disappeared from OnlyFans days later, hinting at a rebrand, or was it a clause for her settlement? Sharpe maintains the relationship was consensual. his career clearly seems to be remained intact. This wasn't a trial. To me, it feels like a transaction. What you guys think? Did a payout buy peace? Maybe. Did the truth win? We'll never know. But the pattern is familiar. High profile man, explosive allegations, quiet settlement, and a carefully worded denial. Bailiff, show us how we got here.
Gabby.
Well, you're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
Yeah. I might choke you in public. Big black guy chokes small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you did to me.
Okay, well...
Well, what?
All right, before we go jump into this, let me ask both of you two. This just seems so strange to me. Okay, so at this point, obviously from the conversation, it looks like he knows she did something to him, which is kind of like maybe the lawsuit allegation, right? If that's the case, if he's going to LA, why is he asking to be seen out in public with her?
This was before the lawsuit was filed. So came out the first week after the lawsuit was filed. I imagine that something happened to them before then. So she stood him up, or didn't let him choke him right. Whatever it is
He said,
that
I don't
happened.
want to be choked. And she said, this isn't a good look. First of all, why is he out in public with a 20-year-old? You're on mute, Shatan.
There are so many questions, aren't there? Like, the only thing I can think about listening to this is it's true what they say. He ain't with her for her conversation skills. Okay. That girl barely said two words. So, they had a long distance relationship. And so, whatever they were doing in person must have been enough to keep him motivated. He was out with a 20-year-old girl because he wanted to be. But she the award of the year goes to this girl Gabby. Okay, she played a player. Shannon Sharpe had lots of women before her. He was in the league, and yet his entire empire was almost brought down by a 20-year-old OnlyFans star. She wasn't a Harvard graduate, right? She was just somebody who recognized his vulnerabilities and played them.
All right, let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Explain to me legally, what does dismiss with prejudice? No, legally, what does dismiss with prejudice protect Sharpe from? And what does it not protect him from? Does it protect him from future criminal action?
Right. So the
Or
only thing dismissed with dismissed with prejudice protects him from is from this particular woman coming back to him on a civil suit and saying, you know what, I forgot about the time he choked me in June, and I want more money for that. So she can't sue for him for any more of this. However, it doesn't mean that the criminal case can't be brought. If the authorities find out and then think that this is something that's criminal worthy, she would testify at trial, despite whatever kind of NDAs they have. It doesn't protect him, and this is what's going to get him from other women coming forward and going, hey, he choked me too in '92. And what I don't get from Sharpe is this: I get why you settle a case if you don't want all the bad stuff to come out, but the stuff came out, right? We just listened to some of the bad stuff. So I'm thinking, what was there that even worse that he was willing to give up at least $10 million for.
Right,
To
right,
not
right.
come out. How bad could it have been?
Right. And let's go to you, Attorney Turner, because we know, let's go with the facts of what we know. So the fact is, we know that Sharp offered her $10 million to go away. And in her mind, something so bad must have happened or she had kept in her arson that she wanted 50. Right? Isn't that what we're looking at? Because
Yeah.
she's suing for 50. So she said 10 isn't good enough. So you choked me enough, or whatever you made me do, or whatever I got on you is worth more than $10 million, and I want 50.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're looking at. From This is where Attorney Carter is on the money. There is an aspect of this that we don't know, that we will never know, that must be weird as all get out, borderline unlawful, or just super weird. Because generally, a negotiation of this sort would occur because, as Attorney Carter mentioned, he would be trying to keep it quiet in order to preserve his reputation
Right.
and career, right?
Mhm.
That didn't happen here. So we think. That's
That's
why
right.
what we
That's
don't
right.
know must be bad, in my
Must
opinion.
be bad. That's what I'm thinking too. Like I'm just thinking because y'all know I'm pretty, nasty, or I got a nasty mind. I think she and he did other stuff that if she brought it to the forefront, it would really mess up his brand. Because obviously, messing with a 20-year-old has not messed up his brand.
Right.
He's back on air. He hadn't stopped anything except for that one contract, and that was because this was all in the end. Think about it. He moved very quickly to settle this. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking was some pegging going on.
I mean, I don't want to speculate, but we do know this. She was an uneducated girl who was on OnlyFans as her only source of income. And she was messing with a millionaire. What wouldn't she have done, right?
Right.
Now, I'm not excusing the fact that he was accused of rape, right? Because that's a serious offense. And if it happened, then he should, face the consequences. But she didn't pursue it criminally, right?
Uh-huh.
It's not like she was like, I'm so aggrieved that I want justice. She's
Right.
saying, this happened to me and I want a bag.
I believe Melina, is that how you say it? NC. I didn't read yours, but Melina thought the same thing I did. He probably on video with butt plugs. I'm just saying, we're just reading comments how people think,
It's
because
got to be really bad.
it's got to be something that feeds into whatever the the whispers on the street are, right?
Mhm.
Or it feeds into something that he feels is like his Achilles heel with his brand.
They might have had a Diddy three. So I'm not saying allegedly. I don't know, because here's what you're saying, and this is important. At first, he was willing to pay 10. They said no, so we know he paid at least 10, 15 to 20 million. Shannon Sharpe does not have 15 to 20 million in cash. All right,
Right,
This isn't Jeff Bezos who can just reach in his pocket and say, "Hey, you got to
right,
change for a
right,
billion." All right, Shannon is going to have to finance this. He's going to be paying her like child support for the next several years.
right.
Okay, which is actually good for him, because one of the things about paying over time is he can make sure she doesn't reveal this over time. Because as soon as she goes to the media and talks about it, he can cut the check off. So he's going
Oh,
to pay
that's
this out over
good.
time. But this is a mortgage, and it's a $15 million mortgage. All right, this is a huge amount of money every month.
Right.
Big part of his money he's going to be writing out to Gabrielle Zuniga. Right,
Well,
that is
Toria
huge.
Williams says there was another very damaging video that would have ended him forever.
Must have been.
Something in the milk ain't clean. So let's go back to the legal and then to look at her. Oh my goodness! And these are edited pictures. So can you imagine? She don't even look that good in person. Tell me, tell me, Attorney Carter, can settlement terms include her taking down her OnlyFans, or no disparagement or lifetime NDA? And are those enforceable?
Oh yeah, and this is what I was talking about before. I probably jumped the gun there. Absolutely, it's enforceable because he is paying her out likely over time. So if she decides she wants to go on OnlyFans and show the video, or say, "Hey, by the way," or name herself, right? Shannon's girl, right?
Uh-huh.
He can then go forward and say, "You know what? We're cutting the check off," and so he'll have some control. She won't really be able to do much, but with $15 to $20 million, what she don't need to sell feet pics anymore. She don't even need feet.
So
She's
Shatan, is
barely
she
legal. That's why it's child support.
so does paying to end a case imply guilt in the legal sphere, or is it just smart risk management?
It's prudent if you're exposed. So the motivation for settling is one of two things. Either it's going to be too expensive to try, right? Because there's too many factual discrepancies and you're not confident that you're going to prevail in the end in front of a jury, because as we've seen compared to cash out and Diddy, we'll talk about that later, juries do different things. And the other reason is because in your analysis you're like, you know what, at the end of the day, we're not going to be successful. And so it makes sense to pay now instead of paying later. It's
Mm,
very expensive to work up a case for trial. You're talking about $100,000 easy. And so once you start thinking about it, like, well, if I pay this person who's aggrieved this $100,000, then it makes more sense. That
mhm.
said, you can't assume guilt just because they settle. Every settlement agreement says this not isn't an admission of guilt, and it's true. In the court of public opinion, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, they did it. They did it."
Mhm.
The other reason is though brand management. So when you talk about risks, one of the risks is reputational risk. And
Mhm.
so in this case, depending on what she had on him, it may have been smarter for him to pay the money so he could continue to earn an income, right? As opposed to having his image destroyed by whatever she had.
Got it. Okay, bailiff, leave that picture right there because I want to ask the algorithm something. Let's read some comments first. Leave the picture right there, please, bailiff. TK said, I need to come out of retirement for a bag. These men just giving money away.
I'm saying.
Toria Williams says, hot mess shows me that he has zero taste. Really, she looks like a little girl, and that makes him look like a pedophile as well. Benicia Phillips says, he was trying to prove to everyone that he's not gay, but went too far. Yep. Danielle Cameron said, SSL, she does look a little basic. Essie Stone says, as my granny would say, stupid is as stupid does. All right, so algoriters, how much money? Remember, he offered 10, she sued for 50. They now settled. Algorithm, jump down in the chat and tell me, how much money do you think he settled on giving her? We know it can't be as low as 10 and it's not as high as 50. Algorithm, jump down in the chat and tell me, how much money do you think he had to pay? All right, let's keep it moving. Next up, Nicki Minaj versus Rock Nation. Is this a conspiracy or a clout war? Nicki Minaj lit the internet on fire, accusing Rock Nation CEO Desiree Perez, but also Jay-Z and Megan Thee Stallion and others of orchestrating a calculated industry takedown. She claims blackballing, swatting, and intentional sabotage of her placements. There has been no formal suit, I need to let everyone know, as well as there's been no cease and desist. Just a lyrical flamethrower and a fan base ready for digital war. Some see a queen exposing music mafia politics. Others see paranoia wrapped in social media theatrics. Legally, either way, without evidence so far. But let's look at this. If any of her claims stick, Rock Nation could face RICO-esque conspiracy allegations. If they don't, Nicki could be one inflammatory post away from a defamation suit. Either way, the industry's dirtiest whispers just hit the main stage. Bailiff, show us some evidence.
Has exhibited signs of envy, jealousy, hate, and stopping bags behind the scenes, allegedly. Why is it always the same story? So that means Nas made that all of that stuff up. DMX made all of that stuff up. Um, he was beefing for a minute with 50, with Dame and Dipset for a while. And isn't it interesting how many feuds, even with females, that he's allegedly been behind as well? What about all of the people who have made claims about their businesses or accusations about some business practices, allegedly, of course?
Okay,
Were
Bailiff.
are all of those people even currently right now?
Okay,
Are they
Bailiff.
all making it up?
All right, JP, let's go to some of these comments before I ask the question. JP Mills says, I'm sick of Nicki. Venetia Phillips says, yes, TK, I have plenty of pics with celebs. I'm about to make a couple of lies. Def God said, Nicki deflected from her husband's drama. Toria Williams says, respectfully, the public ruins these stars and athletes now before the criminal courts put them in jail. Yep, Danielle Cameron says, Nicki, girl, you reaching. You blackballed your own self marrying a rapist and paying for your pedo brother after what he did to his stepchild. Deaf God says, while Nicki sounds like a bloody old British white woman. Issy Stone said, either show proof or be quiet. TK said at Venetia, I'll be friends of the source that leaks it. We go around the corner and split the bag. Y'all are too much. Tori Williams says, Nicki, stop doing the booger sugar. You do not have Jay-Z's money to fight him. He would take what little money you have left after paying your husband's lawyer. All right, let's go to you, Attorney Turner. What would Nicki need to prove to make a civil conspiracy or torturous inference claim stick?
Oh,
That's
tortious.
a law school. That's a
Yeah,
law school question.
it is a law school question. So, in terms of conspiracy, what you're trying to show is the best metaphor is like a web, a cobweb, right? Of all of these things connected to achieve a goal. In this case, she's saying to prevent her from earning money, for blackballing her from getting, appearances and things. So she needs to have evidence, not just accusations,
Okay.
that Jay-Z and these other people conspired for this. The challenge for her, right, is audiences are fickle, right? And just like she took Little Kim shine, right? Somebody could argue that Megan took hers because Megan was doing the body yada yada, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's really difficult because a lot of times they're not emails, right? There's not like a plan, like someone sits down and writes a business plan that says, let's go after Nicki Minaj. These are a series of conversations that are hard to prove, but she keeps saying it because she believes it. And so we'll see if she actually has the gumption to file a lawsuit if she can get that evidence.
All right, Attorney Carter. What is swatting? Because I'm trying to figure it out. Is swatting a civil or a criminal issue? And who's liable if a fan acts on an artist's insinuations?
Oh no, swatting is absolutely criminal. All right, it's one of the worst
What
things
is
you
it?
can do. That's when you call out SWAT and you say, "There's something dangerous happening in this house. Please come here with your guns drawn. Start shooting everybody up in here." Okay, and sadly, the police will do it. They will do murder on demand, like DoorDash. All right, they'll come in and start shooting everybody. And there are people who literally been killed because someone called and said there was this thing happening at this house, not at this house, they're on a burner phone somewhere, using some ISP thing, and the police will come in just because they think it's an emergency situation, right? Someone here with a gun. And so, yeah, that's a real bad thing. She claims that Rock Nation had her swatted. And her house has been swatted like 3 times. Okay.
Oh,
Now, it might be
okay.
Rock Nation. It probably is a fan, or sorry, not a fan, someone who doesn't like her music. I listened to that boring ass video. I'm about to swat her next. All right. If you get on there and ramble, oh no, for 3 more minutes, Nicki, I'm swatting you. All right. So it could have been anybody. She can prove that they swatted her. She owns Rock Nation. All right, but that's going to be a hard thing to prove, and more than likely, it's not. All right, Rock Nation might do some things, whatever. Then they're not likely going to be swatting people.
Got it. Okay, Attorney Turner, does speaking your truth, because this in her mind is her truth on social, change her legal exposure if the truth isn't verified?
Well, potentially they could go after her for defamation because she won't be able to avail herself of the litigation exception because this isn't in the context of litigation. One thing I wanted to point out, though, Attorney Carter, I don't know if you found this amusing, but I found this amusing because on the first instance, you would think, well, clearly Rock Nation wouldn't have the time, interest, or inclination to engage in swatting. And yet, we have Ms. Perez, whose daughter has said that she lied on her and her husband,
Right.
got her involuntarily committed. So I want to know what is going on at Rock Nation that they keep getting.
And why is she still the CEO?
These are questions that need answered. I'm just saying, I think this is interesting. It's not like Arista Records has all of this craziness going after them. For whatever reason, several people believe that Rock Nation's head of everything is engaged in criminal activity.
All right, Def God says Cardi B swatted Nicki. Benicia Phillips says the rap game is over. JP Mills says her neighbors swatted her. Toria Williams said, I love the comments tonight. The engagement is awesome. Danielle Cameron said her husband is a registered sex offender. Anybody could have done that. Brenda O said, remember when rap was fun? My, how things have changed. Under the olive branch, it says, I do believe that things happen to these celebrities in the industry. And by the time Nicki came around, it was even more obvious. Nicki thought she would be immune. Yeah, it sounds like she thought that she was bigger than this. Toria Williams said, okay, fabulous people, let's get these likes up. That's right, everybody. Be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, don't forget to hit that share button. Don't forget to turn on your notifications and continue to do a great job in dropping down in the comments. Venetia Phillips also said, anyone noticed that the world changed a lot since COVID? It seems like everybody done went crazy.
That part.
All right, algorithms, this is a question for you. Are Nicki's claims whistleblowing, or are they unverified meltdown because her viewership is falling? Drop down in the chat. Are Nicki's claims whistleblowing, or are they unverified meltdown because her sales are down? Drop down in the chat. All right, everybody, this is what the world has been talking about. Coldplay Kiss Cam fallout. HR, PR, and a hug heard round the world. At a Coldplay show in Boston, Massachusetts, the Kiss Cam zooms in and boom, a hug between an ex-astronomer CEO Andy Byron and HR exec Kristen Kobot, who are both married, turns into a corporate crisis. The video goes viral. Both are put on leave. Byron resigns. The company launches an internal probe and rewrites policy. Now Byron's rumored to be lawyering up against Coldplay and the venue because he's claiming emotional distress and reputational damage from authorized use of his image. This is bigger than a hug. It's the new danger zone where public events meet private liabilities. Now, when a stadium camera exhibit becomes Exhibit A, who owns your face? And can a band be blamed for corporate fallout triggered by a crowd gimmick? Bailiff, let's see what you got.
Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
Let's see that one more time, baby. Let's see that one more time. Okay, here we go. So they're sitting up there hugged up. Clearly, they look like they are a couple. Now, the goal of these people, because they both are married. All right, keep going.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy. I'm not quite sure.
All right, let's go to you, Attorney Turner. Now, y'all need to know that Attorney Turner made sure that this case was on the docket tonight. She has a lot to share about this. Attorney Turner, does a concert ticket's fine print waive your right to privacy?
No. So I would ask the opposite question: if whether that boilerplate language on the concert ticket really insulates them against anything. There's boilerplate on amusement parks, all that kind of stuff. And what they do say is you agree to have your likeness your picture taken, and you could tell somebody when you got there that you want to waive that, but they didn't, because what about these people? These people have been in a long lasting relationship, and the reason is because of the comfort with which they were up there all hugged up, not trying to be in the back and just enjoying the show. So their energy is such that they would have been doing that anywhere. They probably had done it on the street. They had done it lots of times and hadn't gotten caught. And so that's why they had the comfort there. So, in terms of them being able to sue Coldplay or the venue because somehow their privacy was violated, the answer is no. Because the other thing that would be interesting too, and I imagine this to be true, is they were not the first people who were on that kiss cam that night. So once the first folks were on the kiss cam, everybody was on notice that it might be them. Your options are to leave, go in the back, or just not be all hugged up with your mistress.
So let me go to you. I think you're right. Let me go to you, Attorney Carter. Could astronomer face liability for unevenly disciplined executives when a public video triggers HR action? Tell me how they're going to navigate this HR action and the putting one resign. Now they're implementing new policies. How does that work?
So what's happened so far is Byron, the CEO, resigned. The CPO or HR person has been put on administrative leave. They're investigating the situation. Okay. He could say, hey, you fired me and, or you made me leave and she's still there. But guess what? Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work because you were her superior.
Right.
You
It's
were
always explain
absolutely
that
right.
to me. Explain that to me again. I think the algorithms can learn from this. Algorithms. So
Absolutely. So if
you
you have
can't
a relationship with
you can't go up, right?
no, you can't go down. So
you can't go
if
down.
you're in a relationship with somebody at work, they better be higher than you on the organization chart. If you're the CEO, you can't mess with nobody because everybody's below you. And here's the thing about it is they're gonna have a hard time firing her. Now they want to because you can't have the head of HR screwing the CEO. That doesn't work at orientation at all. Who's gonna give the sexual harassment right seminar right when everybody know what you've been doing? All right.
Everybody know you've been sleeping around.
Absolutely. Right. But the problem is this, though. If they try to fire her, she gets a good lawyer. He says, hey, she was a victim of sexual harassment. She didn't want to sleep with that man. All right. She just had to because he was the boss and he was giving her bonuses, et cetera, et cetera. And as a result, it's going to turn out that they're going to have to pay her a lot of money to go away. Now, the good news is they're going to take it all out of his money because he before this concert, before that night, he was worth $50 to $75 million.
Jeez.
Today he's worth about $50 to $75. And that's assuming he get a loan. Because not only is he losing his salary, but a lot of his stock options, they're gone. And a lot of these startup companies,
he has to surrender those because he resigned or because he was
once you
caught
leave the company, yeah. So the way they do executive compensation is they give you a salary. His salary was only about $500,000 a year. Now he got stock options, and they say over the next 5 years you get a little chunk and a little chunk and a little chunk, and then they give you actual stock in the company, ownership. But a lot of times in a startup, those shares are conditioned on you not acting a fool. And so you'll have forfeiture rights. And so say, hey, if you do something bad, we can take not only your job, but we take the stock back too. It's going to cost him millions. And the sad part is, who the real victim is Mrs. Byron, because she can divorce him all she wants, but she getting a job.
Because she ain't going to be able to get no money.
No money.
Attorney Turner, tell me, once again, because I'm still trying to understand this up. So if you are sleeping with somebody at work, try your best to make sure that they are a higher position than you. Is that what you're saying? Is that what Attorney Carter is saying? And what does that mean in HR legal terms?
Attorney Carter just advocated sleeping your way to the top. And he was probably right about that. There's all kinds of perks, there's all kinds of fringe benefits, and you likely don't have to come to work all the time because you're sleeping with the person in charge. Tongue in cheek, algoriters, tongue in cheek. What Attorney Carter was talking about is a legal principle, you know, that you would argue called quid pro quo, right? So when the person is above you, what this woman could likely say, and she might have to if her prenup said if she cheated, then she doesn't get anything. Someone said that her husband was rich too, but she might have a bit of a problem. Both of them might in that regard. She could argue that the reason she was sleeping with him is to keep her job, right? And since he was the CEO, he's going to be hard pressed to say that wasn't true. She could say, the only reason I was at that concert is because he blackmailed me because he said if I didn't do it, and sure, I didn't want to be miserable every minute. And so that's why I went to the concert and I was hugged up. But in truth, I was
She's married. I don't
I
buy that crap.
love my husband. And, I felt pressure. This is a very
She's from allegedly she's from one of the wealthiest families in Boston. She comes from
right.
she's married into a long line of money. I just don't understand why both of them were not released. Her for her negligence as HR and clearly participating in non-HR activity. Why weren't both of them let go?
She was doing research. It was a human resources activity. He was a human and she wanted to give him resources. But in truth,
That's a box
to
of crap.
attorney Carter's point though, I don't know that she's going to retain her job forever, but the legal analysis is trickier with her because she's the subordinate. So when astronomers said that they needed to launch an investigation, that's one of the things that they need to launch. Was this consensual or was it, forced or coerced in some way? And even, I mean, going back to like Diddy and Cassie, right? Her
Mm-hmm.
testimony about being coerced was while she was in a relationship with him where she was saying she loved him. So this notion of coercion is complicated. Not all of it's unlawful, but in this case, because he was her superior, she has a decent case to be
Argument.
able to, yeah, decent argument to articulate some things that could be problematic for him and helpful to her. She might actually walk away with a monetary settlement from this company.
So that just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm gonna come back to that. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Why would what is the point of the CEO saying, "Okay, Coldplay, I want you to be responsible for this. You used and put my picture up there against my will, which then forced the truth."
Right. And by the way, his case, he has no case against Coldplay because guess what? Coldplay didn't put it up there. All right. They put it up in the stadium and there's a sign, on your ticket that says we can use your visual right for the presentation. But they didn't put it on the web. Some random TikToker took that, and that's why it's all grainy, took it from the screen and put that up. So it's not like Coldplay outed him. If he's outed because some random TikToker took a video of a public event, you've got no case against anybody, and the TikToker got less that they got less money than you. They got think about it, they spent $4,000 on Coldplay tickets, so I know they ain't got no money to pay you. Okay, and certainly, he has no legal recourse against anybody. All right, this is something he messed up his darn self. I hope it was worth it.
Exactly. What would be the point of doing a lawsuit? What is that? What is that? What is that? What is he fighting to save?
Well, strategically, he might sue in order to tie up the money that he could give to Megan Byron, who is my hero, by the way. I mean, moment of silence for Megan Byron because in a period of 2 days, she changed her Facebook status. She put herself back in her maiden name. She took down all family pictures that included him and their children, and she filed for divorce. That level of efficiency should be tapped, and perhaps she should become CEO of Astronomer because she's got some real skills. Okay. But his
I
ability,
don't agree with that.
why?
I don't agree with that because if Sean is correct, and as he exit, he loses all that money, that means she can't get no money. So what I would have done is I would have left all that stuff up. I would have seen how this played out first to make sure I know where the money going. And then after I found out where the money's going, I then would leave him.
And also, we need to be clear. There's so much that has been reported in this story from Pootie Tang 699 at Twitter. All right, and all of this stuff isn't true. For instance, we had a statement from him where he blamed Coldplay. Not what happened. Okay, there is, while she did do all the things that Attorney Turner said exactly, except for there's no public record of her filing for divorce yet. So it's entirely possible she changed her name so everybody wouldn't be looking her up,
Oh,
and
see,
then being
she's
all up on the
hiding from
page.
the embarrassment.
Right,
See,
from the embarrassment, trying to hide.
that's what I would be smarter, right? I would I wouldn't hide from the embarrassment. I would let them drag me. I would take all of that embarrassment and say, "Look, judge, see, this is what he did to me. This is the emotional distress that I experienced. Look at all of this hate and disgust that I've gotten. Look at what people are saying about my marriage and my kids. This I need to be compensated for all of this."
That's if she decides to sue him civilly separate from the divorce, right? And to say that it was intentional infliction of emotional distress, if that's a valuable cause of action under these terms where she lives. The um the thing is, as it relates to where the money's going, in this case, not just because I'm Team Megan, but because I'm also Team Practicality,
Mhm.
if most of his potential value is a function of these options and stock that he had from Astronomer,
Mhm.
she doesn't have to stay with him and do sexual favors she doesn't want and live on the other side of the house and pretend like she likes him. She can just leave because all of that is on a piece of paper called a contract, right? And how that shakes out is how that shakes out, regardless of how their marriage is. So
Mhm.
I would not
Stay.
recommend. Yeah, I wouldn't stay, please. I would have been. I would have driven up to the venue. That's what I
Okay,
would.
hold on. What order in the court? This woman. Order.
I would have given them both a ride. They
You
might
two
not have
girls.
gone home, but yeah, I'd have been like, "What?
Oh God.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna lose a lot of points. I'm probably going to sleep in the Marriott tonight. But I am gonna say this: he looked really happy when he was up there holding her by the titties. And maybe if she had let him go to the concert and hold, and if she should have done a little more holding, and then maybe she wouldn't saw it on the screen.
But Attorney Carter, I don't know because I looked at the pictures of his present wife and she is beautiful. This
He
woman up
is, but she wasn't letting him hold him at the concert.
Affairs are always fun and enticing, Attorney Carter." So I'm not
I wouldn't know.
surprised that he looks so happy doing that. What
how
I
can
think
you be
though,
happy? That woman looked ugly. Baby, let me see
like
the video
there's
one more
no
time. Can I see the
accountability.
pictures? She looked like a witch to me.
Oh,
I
look at these
what
two.
are you
All right, come on. You're okay? Yeah. Oh,
There's
look at these
no
two.
accountability.
no,
All right, come
no.
on. You're okay? Oh, what?
They work together.
Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
They
That's not
work together. They spend a lot of time together. He's attracted to her. And Attorney Carter's right. He does look happy. He does look happy. But here's the thing. Here's why I think that they had that visceral reaction when they were discovered. I
okay.
don't think it was just because of the affair. I don't think that was it. I think they weren't supposed to be there. They were supposed to be on a trip somewhere. So the reason they both didn't think about, "Oh, let's pay it off," is because they're like, "Oh, ish, we're supposed to be in Hong Kong or something." Right? They weren't supposed to be there. They weren't supposed to be together. So they were going to have some explaining to do just from being at the Coldplay concert. And then when they thought about everything they were doing, then they just acted weird. Like Attorney Carter said on his Facebook page, and if y'all have not checked out his Facebook page, you should. It is inspired. Their behavior exhibits a level of arrogance that is unprecedented. And I'll let Attorney Carter talk about it because it was his thought.
No, and the thought I basically had was simply this. And by the way, this is a good thing for the algorithms. All right, you out at the next Coldplay or Kendrick Lamar concert, the kiss cam comes on, kiss the person, act like you know them. All right, nobody in that stadium knew who they were. Nobody, and even if they knew who he was, they didn't know that wasn't his wife. Just pretend like that ugly woman's your wife. All right, just kiss him in the mouth. All right, I went to the board game with my boy the other day, Blake, basketball game. Kiss cam came on, we kissed. All right, I don't give a damn if you take me to the game. I'm kissing you, and the point is simply this: ain't nobody know me or my wife. I ain't famous. All right, if you're not famous, just kiss the person. All right, you will get away with it. The only reason that we talk about them now is because they don't know how to act.
So
They don't know how to
think?
cheat.
So wait a minute, hold on. Let me make sure I understand this, and I need to move on to the last topic because y'all are really messing with my head right now. So you think that when the kiss cam, the concert is in their neighborhood,
They're in New
right?
York. This is in Boston.
Oh,
That's why Attorney Turner was talking about they
astronomer,
were
the
supposed to be
company
there.
is in New York.
Mm-hmm.
But her family, no, her husband and her
Absolutely.
husband's family's from Boston.
Right.
So you don't think that if the kiss cam highlighted them and they kissed that they would be in more trouble than they already are in?
Nope.
Oh,
Ain't nobody know who she is. Did you know who she was? By the way, I lived in Boston for several years. I heard about this the husband who runs some big beer company. I have no idea who that fool is,
All right,
and I wouldn't know
let's go
that
to
it
the
wasn't him.
algorithm. Let's go to the algorithm because I think we got to split. So Attorney
Mm-hmm.
Turner and Attorney Carter believe that when the kiss cam came on, they should have just kissed. Let's go to the algorithms. Algorithms, do you think that they should have kissed and just played it off? Or do you think they should have just like not moved and joked it off? Or
they
do
should
you
have
think
high-fived.
something? I
It
don't
would
know that.
it would not have made international news. It's not to say that somebody who knew them might not have seen something and it
Okay.
could have been problematic, but it wouldn't have made international news. Chris Martin wouldn't have called them out about it. It just would have been people on the kiss cam.
Okay. So they said Toria Williams says kiss. Idota says yes, should have kissed. SL said yep, played it off. Annie said they shouldn't have been they shouldn't have been there all hugged up. Protecting my peace says kiss. Milana NC said, y'all right. Colette Davis says, I don't think they should have kissed. They should have just acted normal, high five, laughed, or something. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving on to the last case of the night. Cash Out, with his real name is John Michael Gibson, is looking at life in prison on RICO and sex trafficking. What a sad story about Atlanta rapper Cash Out, because he is done. He's been sentenced to life for running a sex trafficking ring under the guise of a record label with his mother and cousin as co-conspirators. Victims say that they were drugged, they were raped, they were isolated and pimped. A Fulton County jury convicted him on RICO, sex trafficking, grape, and pimping. This is one of the most severe RICO convictions in rap since the YSL storm, and it's sending a message: this industry's not a shield. This isn't alleged, everybody. This is adjudicated. It's also a chilling reminder of how easily fame can camouflage predators. For years, these women were groomed and exploited while the music dropped. Now, the facade is forever shallow. The facade is forever shattered. Bailiff, show us what you got.
Good morning, Your Honor. I want to start off by thanking you for giving us a fair trial. I want to thank the jurors for the amount of time that they put in to judge this trial. This time being on this trial, I was able to see how the jurors are put in a tough position to, sit there and judge someone's life. And it's a hard decision, and I felt like they made the wrong judgment. I've done things in my life. I'm not perfect. But the things I've been accused of, I know that I haven't done those things. I know it's typical for a person to come up here and, show remorse to, crimes that they have done, but I can only show remorse to the people that I know that was in this trial, which is Kiara Adams, Deanna Sanders, and Jasmine Brown. Not remorse on behalf of like I did anything to them, because if you know me and people who really know me know that I wouldn't force anybody to do anything. I met women, I dated women who were doing escort or whatever, however people want to look at it from a moral standpoint, but who was doing these things as a grown woman. I've only dealt with grown women. Nothing was forced, nothing was coerced or anything of that nature. If you notice, before this trial, no woman can say anything about me before this trial. If you notice, before this indictment, no woman can say anything about me before this indictment. I get the situations that people are put in when they're faced with a certain type of crime or a certain type of time, and they're bullied into this situation to put the blame on someone, or to put the blame on Cash Out, or to put the blame on someone who's at the top. That's why I didn't really fault them for their decision. I didn't fault Deanna Sanders for making her decision during the proffer. She just had a child. Mind you, she was just on video call with me while being incarcerated. I don't fault Kiara Adams for doing the things she did with her proffer, because mind you, she was facing a certain amount of time handling her probation in different cases that she's on. I don't fault people for making accusations, because I'm a man that typically let women leave on their own behalf. Never held them in prison or held them in slavery or said, you can't leave me, or you can't do this. Every woman you seen come on this stand showed you that they left and came back willingly on their own. What I mean by that, they left on their own and they came back willingly on their own. During this trial, I was able to see, how valuable life is, and how valuable the people that you hang around, or the people that you even date, or the people that you even know, how valuable it is to judge their character. Sometimes I let people stay around who I knew was going to affect a situation that I had going on. So I don't, and for the people who came to this trial that I never met a day in my life, never had any contact with them, never had a text message with them, never had an interaction with them, don't even know where most of these stories came from, is baffling. Never forced a woman to commit a sexual act. I've been traveling all around the world from here to Dubai, and you would never hear a woman say that I forced them to do anything sexual or commit a rape with anybody. I don't hang around people that do things of that nature. I feel like, and somebody asked me this the other day, it was like, every time I see your head high and you always smiling, because when you have that confidence, it takes me back to the Bible. When you have that confidence and you can be falsely accused of things. Jesus was falsely accused. A lot of the prophets were falsely accused. You don't have that emotion like you've done something. So if you see me with my head high, or if you see me smiling, it's because I know at the end of the day, through Jesus Christ, the Most High will always give you the actual judgment. So I really thank you for providing us a fair trial. Just me getting to know you during trial, I was like, she's just a judge. But when you sit 12 people in that panel and you have them, judge our lives, and, put them in a position to judge our lives, it takes you back to, once again, the Bible, when people had to judge these prophets' lives. And I say, if you know me, you actually know me. There's plenty of people that know me in this world. There's plenty of people that know me in this jail. There's plenty of people that know me where I'm from. Like I say, once again, I'm not perfect. I come from certain areas. I come from, certain environments. I come from doing things in my past life before the music. But I'm here to tell you that if you sat in this trial and you paid attention to this trial, before these dates, no woman could ever say, I've done those things to them. Before these dates, you can go on my Instagram and see these women enjoying themselves, having their own things, living their own life. Before these dates, I can say you had these women that never had anything to say about me before this indictment, before the RICO. You had these women actually talking to me while I was incarcerated. I've been incarcerated for 4 years, and these women are interacting with me. These women who took the stand up and supposedly scared of me, or monsters, or I'm a monster, or took these proffers. This wasn't the case before they was indicted. So from my perspective, I feel like some people can get bullied into a situation that they really don't really want to do. And I'm sitting here just holding my head high and just, feeling that one day the truth will come out. One day the truth will come out on my situation. One day the truth will come.
All right, let's go, Sean. What I want you to do is, can you walk the algorithm? Sorry, guys, one of my lights went out. Sean, can you walk the algorithms through this case, or Attorney Turner? Can you walk us, Attorney Carter? Can you walk us through what actually happened? Because it seems like the sentence was crazy.
Well, and this is Rico.
Life in prison and an additional 70 years. What does this mean, actually, and why was it so heavy-handed.
And here's the thing about it: this is a RICO thing. Now, remember, Diddy was charged with RICO federally. This Cash Out was charged with Georgia's RICO, and Georgia's RICO is different. The federal RICO was established for mobsters, right? And that's the problem they had in Diddy trial. It was like, wait a minute, Diddy just did these things. He runs a successful record label. He's not. This is not a mobster. They're saying no, no, no. All of Cash Out's label was just a farce. Fool had one record in 2012. Okay, they were using the whole enterprise to trap women, and basically, it looks like he was pimping them. And I think even by his admission, he seemed to be pimping them. He's saying they wanted to be willingly there. They're saying no, we were being drugged, we were being sexually assaulted by your cousin, your mama was beating us, etc. And mama, by the way, mama got 30 years. Now you know something wrong when you get your mama 30 years. He getting a whooping, but that's not the point. The point is simply this, though, is that Georgia's RICO situation is different because they don't just say mobs. If you got an LLC, all right, two of you, and you got a cell phone, that's a criminal organization in Georgia. And Georgia doesn't, and the federal says RICO is a criminal organization to commit like 7 acts: sex trafficking, rape, murder, mayhem. 40 crimes qualify as RICO in Georgia. 40 different crimes. If you get together with one other person and you start doing stuff, 40 different crimes can get you a RICO. And as we know, Fannie, Trump found that out. Fannie don't play. And so if you mess up in Georgia with, and that's why they had Young Thug, it was a whole thing. And so in this case, what happens is this is sort of the Diddy case, except for we have a real organization. We don't just have Diddy doing these crazy things. We got at least him and his mama, several other people, and the whole organization seemed to be revolve around pimping and not music. They weren't putting out much music. They were just putting women on the streets. He says in the comment today, they wanted to be on the streets. I'm not even sure that's a good defense if it were true. Okay, you can't be like, I was a good pimp, right? That's not a legal defense to anything. And so if you're putting women out on the streets and you use your organization to do that, and in Georgia, you gonna go to jail forever.
All right, Attorney Turner, let me ask you this question: can the victims, now that they got a criminal conviction of this level, can they go back in civilly and sue him again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they could articulate similar claims that Cassie was articulating against Diddy. The difference is he don't got Diddy money. Right? So he yeah, and the other thing is that unlike Diddy that has some hits, Act Bad from last 2 summers ago still remains on repeat, and because he was only convicted of minor things, it's still generating money. So as long as Diddy keeps generating money, there will be a steady flow of victims that attempt to get money from him by suing him civilly. Cash Out, what was proven in this case is that his industry and what he was making money from was sex trafficking, right? Prostitution. So, to borrow a Jay-Z line, if big pimpin' was an industry, there's the picture of the big pimp right there is Cash Out, right? But what do we know about making money from prostitution in addition to it being unlawful? It dries up when you don't have any hoes on the street anymore, right? So he had a song, I looked it up, called She Twerkin'. I put it in the chat in case anybody wanted to see it or listen to it. It did not have the kind of hooks that Diddy and Bad Boy had back in the day.
Attorney.
It wasn't. It's not on the every movie as a theme song. She Twerking was like my 7-year-old could have. He may have said it. I wouldn't be surprised if I told him. He'd be like, "She twerking," right? It was not inspired. It wasn't inspired, and so chances are they can sue him civilly. He's paid all this money in legal fees. He's paid his mama's legal fees, his cousin's legal fees, and all his friends. He ain't got no money. So they should assess what he has before they file, because you can't get blood from a turnip.
All right, let's go to the algorithms. Algorithms, do you think this was excessive sentencing because Fannie needed a win because she couldn't close the deal with the YSL case? Or do you think he got what he deserved? Drop down in the chat. Do you think this was excessive sentencing because Fannie needed a win because she couldn't close the YSL case? Or do you think this is fair sentencing for what he committed? Drop down into the chat. All right, everybody, this is a part of the show where the judge, me, the judge, Al Reynolds, give my final verdict and ask the lawyers to give theirs, and we talk about life lessons. First up, we have Shannon Sharpe. Now, Shannon Sharpe, money talks, especially when you don't want a judge to. A dismissal with prejudice is a legal mic drop, but not a moral one. Settlement can be justice or hush money with a good punctuation. Let's go to you, Attorney Carter. Do you think Shannon Sharpe was guilty or not guilty in this case?
He was guilty of doing something that he didn't want out. $15 million of out. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for 15,000, you can tell all my whole life story. So I don't know what he did for 15 million, but I'm working towards that. That's a goal for me to have $15 million worth of secrets.
I'm
It's a
still
goal
trying to
for me
figure
to
that
have
out.
15 million.
What do you think? What do you think, Attorney Turner? Is he guilty or not guilty?
He was guilty of being stupid because what this girl did instead of getting a college degree was get a degree from the streets about how to play an N, and she played him like a song.
Yep, I'm going to, Algorators, drop your verdict down into the chat. I'm going to find, I'm Al and I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find Shannon Sharpe guilty. Guilty of doing something and guilty for being stupid doing it with her. All right, next up we have Nicki Minaj. Nicki, I love the bars, but bars aren't evidence. If you're exposing a machine, I need to see the evidence. Attorney Carter, is she guilty or not guilty? Or is Rock Nation guilty or not guilty for trying to silence Nicki?
She guilty of basically doing what everybody do on Facebook. All my haters. And here's the thing about getting haters. You can have haters if you want, but they got to be below you. See, if somebody making 10 times more than you, I don't believe they really hating on you because they ain't thinking about you.
Okay, gotcha. All right, Attorney Turner, guilty or not guilty?
Nicki Minaj is guilty of playing this wrong. She should be taking her time, getting evidence, and come up with a legitimate lawsuit that she can get them to settle and just stop talking about it.
All right, in this case, I'm Al and I'm the judge here. I'm going to find Rock Nation not guilty. Not guilty is charged. Coldplay's Kiss Cam case, you wanted love on a big string. Now you got legal discovery on a bigger one. Public spectacle has a price. HR shouldn't use TikTok clips for policy, and bands shouldn't weaponize intimacy as content. So is Coldplay guilty or not guilty, or is the CEO guilty or not guilty? Attorney Carter, what say you?
The CEO is guilty of going to a Coldplay concert, first of all, but he's also guilty of not knowing how to cheat. All right. I don't know anything about it either, but I read the books, I read the manuals, and when the kiss can come on, you kiss her and you move on.
All right, Attorney Turner.
So Coldplay's not guilty of anything. Karma is the real victor here because I don't know what these people did in their former life or to their spouses that resulted in this being the reality. But as anybody who's been the victim of infidelity or something else like it, we are living for this. And he's guilty of being a fool. Yeah, a rich fool, but a fool.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court, and we're going to find Coldplay not guilty. But I'm going to find the HR, the chief people officer guilty, and I'm going to find the CEO guilty. Both of them are equally guilty in this court because I'm like Attorney Carter. You got to learn how to cheat better. Why are you booed up in a suite? You're booed up in a suite. It's a kiss cam. They're going to find people that are booed up. You're booed up. So you expose yourself. You're both guilty for being stupid. Next up, Cash Out. This isn't a fall from grace. This is a fall from humanity. Life in prison isn't controversial here. In this case, it seems like it is necessary. So is Cash Out guilty or not guilty for all the things that they say that he did, enterprising and taking advantage of people? Attorney Carter, what say you?
Yeah, now I give him credit though. He tried that speech he gave to the judge, where he thanked the judge right before the sentencing about being fair. It was nice. I'm sure he probably got life plus 70 versus life plus 90, which is what his cousin got. So it probably took 20 years off the plus life. But he was guilty.
So the cousin in the case got life plus 90?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Attorney Turner, what say you?
The judge said that this was some of the most, I think, despicable examples of human nature. Um, Guilty. And I'm sorry for the victims. And yeah, I think this is a wrap for Cash Out.
All right, I'm Alan. I'm the judge here in Celebrity Court of Public Opinion. We're going to find Cash Out guilty, his mama guilty, and the cousin guilty. We're finding all three guilty. Guilty as charged. Oh my goodness. All right, everybody. No jersey, no problem. Accountability is a full contact sport. This show wasn't about entertainers. Instead, it was about power. What we saw tonight was power buying silence, power screaming without proof, and power collapsing from a hug, as well as power weaponized in a trafficking empire. Fame didn't save them. Courts did their job, or cash did it for them. My final whistle, if you play on the field of fame, your files are public law. Algoritms, drop down in the chat your verdicts. Did justice triumphant or did money? Should Nicki in the case with Shannon Sharpe, did justice triumphant or did money? Should Nicki file suit or drop the mic? Who owns your image when the kiss cam finds your secret? And is life in prison just the end to a rap career turned Rico enterprise? Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and send this to someone who thinks stardom is bulletproof. Court is now adjourned until the next scandal subpoenas our attention. Everyone, have a good night.